It is holiday season, but of course that is no reason to leave you without an update on the most recent developments in a Palantir stock. So stay tuned, we're jumping right in, there's no time to waste. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM Global. My name is Joe, and as just mentioned, I am on my year's holiday here in the Mediterranean, and unluckily I have pretty much timed my travel perfectly in the middle of a heat wave. So currently it is still the morning hours, but we are already pushing 35 towards 40 degrees. So I have to make this update super quick, because in those temperatures I have already had in the past my camera dying down on me because it does not have an integrated cooling fan. So I hope you will forgive me for this video being rather tight and streamlined without any of the usual extra information that I like to provide you with, and with a bit more backstory as I usually like to do here on this channel. And having said that, if you are a Palantir investor, of course you are aware that Palantir just in the last 2 months alone has made another run of over 100%. And of course, after such a violent rally and after such a violent run, the potential risk for setbacks and corrections of course rises naturally. That is healthy, and that is how markets behave. So there's no reason to worry on this front. However, what has to be mentioned on a more fundamental basis is the following. So Palantir, of course, has made a tremendous run, and Palantir in and of itself still is a rather young stock. Of course, we have been analyzing the chart of Palantir for a couple of years now. We have also called the bottom back in, when exactly was that even? So back in 2022 somewhere. We have called the bottom, but in all honesty, Palantir right now is a hyped stock of the moment. It hugely benefits of the overall AI hype, and if that AI hype is sometime to wear down, there will be huge and prolonged corrections coming into stocks like Palantir as well. Because remember, Palantir is just a software company. They do have a first mover advantage in this field, of course, but as soon as some new startup comes around with a better or cheaper software, Palantir is at huge risks at this moment. And especially in this time of every second AI stock being hyped to the moon, that is something that we want to be particularly cautious about. Okay, but then coming back to our scenario and our prediction here for Palantir. So far you can see what I just talked about, this rally of another 100% in Palantir stock ever since here the beginning mid of April up until current levels. We are already 116% in the green, and back then we have had here a target zone that was successfully hit. Back then we came a little bit lower inside the target zone and pretty much picture perfectly tested here the lower limit of our target zone, and ever since it was off to the races, and those 116% so far in Palantir are in the books. And so far, even amongst all the cautionary signs that I just shared with you, we still see a little more headroom here for Palantir. So as was mentioned, overall we estimate that we have seen a wave 3 top here in green in brackets, and in the underlying wave count we have so far seen an A, B, C correction leading into the wave 4 low. And ever since this pivot point here of the wave 4 low, we are now in the development of this ongoing overreaching wave 5, leading into an even larger overreaching wave 1 top that we estimate somewhere here in the neighborhood of $170 to maybe $190. But we do not, I repeat, we do not have a target zone yet here. We will probably, as soon as we get further along here on the track, we will probably establish a target zone for taking profits, potentially even shorting Palantir. But so far we still remain cautious and keep close track of this wave development down here. But as soon as we gain full confidence and the time comes around, we of course will establish a target zone. We will share that target zone first and foremost with our paid subscribers, and of course in due time also here for free on this channel. And by the way, if you are not a paid subscriber yet, we offer daily market analyses on 200 markets. We give out push notifications, we give out model entries to our portfolio, and if that sounds interesting to you, down there in the description there's a link taking you to our website. You can check out our offer there. And if that is not interesting to you at all, of course you're perfectly welcome here in this channel for just enjoying the free value that we provide. But now then, having talked here about our primary scenario, as you can see, we also currently have a alternative scenario here on the chart, currently only marked at a 30% probability, so rather low probability, but on a pure technical basis. As we strictly follow Elliott Wave rules, that is still a technical possibility. And so for this alternative scenario, it's particularly important to pay close attention here to this support level at $125.40, which of course came into play after this wave 3 top that we estimate here in the chart. And as soon as we hold above this support here, no reason to even mention or talk about this alternative scenario, because the probabilities for this scenario remain low and get even lower for every single day that we remain above this resistance, and for every single day that we follow the track here for this overreaching wave 1 top that we estimate here in our primary scenario. But then, having already mentioned that alternative scenario, let me also walk you through our overreaching time frame. So this here was the most imminent time frame for our chart here, and we also of course do have a longer time frame, a more long-term outlook here for Palantir here on the 2-day chart. And here again you of course see our primary scenario leading into the wave 5 of the overreaching wave 1 top here, and we likewise have here this alternative scenario at a 30% probability leading already into the wave 2 low. So to give you a bit more of a context here, so for this alternative scenario of the wave 2 low being already in the making, you can see that we have here also an alternative wave 1 top already in at the spot where we have our wave 3 top for the primary scenario. Meaning, on a pure technical basis, the Palantir chart is not 100% clear. Meaning, if we just purely follow the Elliott Wave rules, it would also be possible that we are currently already in the development of a wave 2 corrective pattern, meaning we would then be talking with this new high here, we would not be talking about an impulsive high, but we'd be talking about a corrective wave B high. That is a possibility for dynamic and violent charts like Palantir. But for this alternative to really play out, we are in desperate need of a pivot at this point. So if the course of Palantir, the price action of Palantir really starts to climb further, that is off the table. There's no need to talk about it anymore. I'm just mentioning it because right now we are at a crossroads. So if Palantir continues to follow through here on our track to our primary scenario, that alternative scenario is wiped off the table. And only if Palantir right now in the next hours and days pivots and comes back down, the probability of this primary scenario of course rises. And as just mentioned, every single update along that way will of course be shared daily, fresh off the press with our paid subscribers, and in due time also for free here in this channel. And coming back then to our long-term outlook, so either way, for both our primary scenario where we see a wave 1 top still in the making, and both also for the secondary scenario where we have already seen a wave 1 top potentially in, we will of course expect afterwards a wave 2 corrective mode to form. In our primary scenario here, you can see that the wave 2 would of course be formed way higher than here in the alternative scenario, because of course if the wave 1 would have been in already here at the $125, that of course would lead to a even deeper correction in the wave 2 than here in this case, where the wave 1 will only be formed in the neighborhood of $200. But regarding structure, it's all the same deal. As soon as we reach this wave 1 top here, or also in the alternative scenario where the wave 1 top would already be in, we will be seeing a wave 2 corrective mode, and that is a prolonged corrective mode. So we are talking here about the real overreaching long-term count that we see in Palantir. So for example, the wave 1 top that we're talking about here. So either here or in a couple of weeks and months, potentially the wave 1 top here is the wave starting all the way back at IPO of Palantir. So that's how long we're talking about. So starting somewhere back in 2020. So that is the wave 1 top that we're talking about here. So you can imagine that if we're talking about the wave 2 to that wave 1 top coming in, we are really talking about a long-term correction in Palantir. That is nothing in the neighborhood of a couple of weeks or maybe months, probably even more in the neighborhood of years. But that's just to give you an overreaching picture of what we're talking about. That is nothing to worry about yet. So far, as just mentioned, we still see quite a bit of headroom for Palantir here. So potentially another 30–40% even. But latest at this point, it is really time to maybe take some profits, secure your wins, hedge your portfolio, and of course you will be updated in due time here on this channel as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this quick emergency update out of my holidays with quite a bit of more wind than in the last days, which is pretty comfortable, but I really hope and pray it did not bother you too much. So anyways, thank you for watching. Do not forget to turn on the bell notifications after you have pressed the subscribe button to not again miss another video here on this channel. And up until then, see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.